You've seen this before. You start doing things right. You move. You stay consistent. And something finally starts to respond. And then it fades. Not all at once, just enough to put you back exactly where you are. If you were doing nothing, this wouldn't be confusing. You already know why nothing changes, but you don't. Because you're doing something. You think about it. You act on it. You adjust things. From the outside, it looks like effort. And it is. But effort alone doesn't move anything. Because effort without consistency creates motion, but not direction. You can push something forward once, but if you don't continue the same way, it returns to where it was. You've seen this before. There are moments where it feels like it's working. You're clearer, more focused, you move differently, and something responds, even if it's small. But it doesn't stay. Not because it stopped working, because the way you were moving changed. What created that moment was a certain kind of action. Clean, uninterrupted, consistent. And what followed wasn't. So you adjust. You think maybe it needs more effort, more discipline, a better method. So you change things. But here's the problem. You're changing things before they had time to work. Because real progress is delayed. It doesn't show up instantly. So when you don't see immediate results, you assume something is wrong. And that assumption makes you interrupt the process. The problem isn't what you're doing. It's what happens when it starts to work. That's the moment everything shifts, not externally, internally. Because when it starts working, it stops being safe. Now it matters. Now there's something to lose. And that changes your behavior. At the beginning, you move freely. You act. You try. You don't overthink every step. Because nothing is at stake. Then something responds. Now it matters. And the moment it matters, you stop moving the same way. Not because you don't know what to do, because now you're trying to not to mess it up. And that shift from movement to protection slows everything down. Before you were inside the process, now you step outside of it. You start watching yourself, evaluating, correcting, trying to control every step. But control breaks flow, because flow needs continuity, and control introduces interruption. You stop, you think, you adjust. You don't quit, you just stop moving the same way. You delay small actions, you question simple decisions. You hesitate where you were certain before. Nothing dramatic, but enough. Because momentum isn't lost in big moments, it's lost in small inconsistencies. One pause, one hesitation, one unnecessary adjustment, and the chain breaks. Failure isn't the issue. You know how to handle failure. It's familiar. There's no expectation to maintain anything. But when something starts working, everything changes. Now it has to continue. Now it has to hold. Now you're responsible for it. And responsibility changes how you move. You become careful. And careful movement is slower movement. This is where most people stay. Not failing, not succeeding, almost. Almost consistent, almost working, almost there. Because almost doesn't demand anything. You're still allowed to just delay, step back. There's no pressure to maintain results. And that keeps everything comfortable. If it really works, something ends. Not the goal, your current identity. The one who's still figuring things out, still has time, still isn't fully responsible. That version disappears, and that's uncomfortable. Because once it works, you don't get to go back. You have to continue. And continuation requires consistency. There's a reason this pattern repeats. Because where you are now, nothing is fully required. Nothing is fully proven. Nothing has to be maintained. You can move and still pull back. You can try and still stay the same. That's the benefit. And that benefit keeps the cycle going.